If I conferred with our furry friends, man to animal, think of the amazing repartee. If I could walk with the animals, talk with the animals, grunt and squeak and squawk with the animals, and they could talk to me.
Hello and welcome to Pet Watch, a monthly program about the Williamson County Animal Center. And my guest today is our director, Laura Chavarria. Hi, Laura.
Hi, good morning.
We're going to do a little year in review, and we thought the best person for that would be the director of the shelter. 2015 was a banner year for the shelter. Can you tell us how many animals were processed through the shelter this year?
Yes. Do you have a guess how many, roughly? If you had to guess, what would you guess?
Well,
you have a cheat sheet, though.
I do have a cheat sheet. I do know the number. The number I got off our statistics was 3,295.
Correct.
That is a total of, how did those animals come into the shelter?
We take in strays and owner surrenders. Also, we have officers in the field that pick them up. So we're taking in anywhere between 2 animals a day to one day we took in 50 animals. So every day is different. Every day is a challenge.
It was almost the same number in 2014. Mm-hmm. This year maybe a few less. It is interesting that a number of people do surrender their animals. What are the reasons that people give as a county shelter? Of course, we do have to accept those animals, but what are the reasons we come across?
We see for medical issues. The animal may have some type of medical issue that the owner can't afford to fix. It could be family issues, a divorce, moving. They can't take the animal with them. So there's a plethora of reasons why they turn them in, but we try to get as much information about the animal as possible so that we can help place the animal. So we understand that there's valid reasons why people have to get rid of their animal, but hopefully they're honest and give us as much information so we can place that animal into a forever home.
And that leads right into our save rate for the year was phenomenal. Mm-hmm. And tell us what that is.
The save rate year to date is 95.1%, which is astonishing for an open admission shelter. We're very proud.
Yeah, and it's getting into the no-kill category of labeling, which has various meanings to various people, but it's very rare for a public shelter to have a save rate of 95.1.
Mm-hmm. I think that's the biggest question that we get is, are you no kill? And I don't want to be associated with that phrase because I think it's controversial and the definition is kind of gray, but if you look up the book definition, it is if you have a save rate of 90% or higher. So we do fall in that category, but my stance is usually just to tell people our save rate's 95%. We only euthanize animals if they have severe medical or aggressive issues.
Right, and that is rare, and most of ours are from medical.
Yes.
Severe cancer, neurological diseases.
Lupus, autoimmune.
Okay, then those are carefully calculated decisions on our part, but there's really not a shelter or a rescue in the world that doesn't have an animal on occasion that humanely.
Correct. If they're responsible,
right.
That's part of being responsible is we don't want the animals to suffer. So if that's the only option, if there's not an option to adopt them out, if they're not healthy enough, then that's a gift that we can give them is to humanely euthanize them. And
the normal course of action is an animal comes in. It's either brought in from the field by one of our officers, it's a stray, a neighbor picks a dog or cat up and brings it to us. If that's the case, we try to find a chip. Mm-hmm. Microchipping becomes so important, and keeping the microchip information current on the internet is so important.
Yes, address, name, phone number. People move all the time, and sometimes that's easy to forget. So if you do have your animal microchip, please make sure that you contact the microchipping company to make sure that they have your up-to-date information. But we do everything we can to reunite that animal with its owner. We want that animal, if it's well cared for, to go back to its owner. And if it's not claimed within 5 days, then we work with rescues, we behavior assess the animals, we have the vet look it over, and then we see if it's adoptable. If not, we may send it to foster so it gets socialized, or we may do some type of medical plan for it. So we try to have options for the animals.
And sometimes dogs especially come in heartworm positive. Mm-hmm. And what do we do in those cases?
In those cases, we test them. If they show heartworm positive, we do an oral treatment, and then we also do a 2-day treatment of imidacide, which is just an injection in its back, and then they are cured from heartworm disease. So what used to be a death sentence 5-10 years ago, it's not that big of a deal now.
They still have to do a period of confinement
6
with
weeks.
less activity.
Yes.
So that means we have to find a foster. But it's better because who
Correct.
wants to spend 6 weeks confined in the kennel at the shelter when they could?
Right.
So some of our heartworm positive animals get treated and then go with a foster until the end of the confinement period, and that's to keep them from being too active.
Sure.
And they're stressing the heart.
Right.
Okay. Along with our amazing save rate, we've had a number of new volunteers that play a vital part at the shelter. Can you say a word about all the people that help us every day?
Yes, we have between 200 and 300 active volunteers, and that's over 1,000 hours a month. So that saves the county money from having to, pay staff members to do certain tasks. We have volunteers that foster, that bathe dogs, that brush cats, that do adoption counseling. They do anything. You name it, they do it. They do it with a smile on their face, no pay, just for the compassion for the animals. So they are the heart and soul of the shelter, and we couldn't do anything that we do without them.
They socialize with our cats now, and they also know each animal's personality sometimes better than our staff does.
Absolutely.
Because they do come in so regularly, they know each cat, which one's cuddly, which one is a free bird, which one does what and likes to play, and they can advise people. And when we're
Match them
busy,
up.
they play a vital part. When we're full on weekends and some afternoons it's just jammed, but to have that volunteer say, oh, I know this cat, let me tell you about it, let me get it out and show you.
And they are so close as volunteers. They go out and have lunch together, and they talk about how we can make the shelter better. So their input is very, very valid. And I honestly don't know what we would do without every single one of them.
And another thing that they've started doing is something called Tales of the Trail, which we had a show about a few months ago on here, that an organization which does trail walks with dogs, and they've chosen our shelter and a couple of others in the area to come out. They do it on Sunday.
They do.
And don't their volunteers get involved in that too?
They do. We try to empty out the kennels. So what they'll do is they'll come and hike all of the dogs up to 3 miles, 30 dogs at a time, which sounds like madness, but Tales of the Trails is a phenomenal organization. They partner with Murray County, Metro, us, and their whole goal is to support the shelter, create awareness, and they also do educational series for our staff members monthly. So last month we did a bite case training. So we met with an attorney and talked about how to successfully investigate bite cases. So not only are they exercising our dogs and giving us time and energy, they're also educating us and creating a community. They're putting me in touch with the local shelter at Metro or Rutherford. So we're having conversations on what could be best practices. So they've only been around for about a year, but I can't believe how much they've accomplished in just a year.
And when they have those trail walks, they contact all our volunteers and say, hey, we're coming to have a trail walk Sunday. Would you like to come? Instead of just walking around the property a couple of times with your dog, would you like to go on the 3-mile walk? And a lot of them have been doing it, and you've been successful in emptying the kennel.
Yep, so they get exercise before we open up for adoption, and then by the time we're open for adoptions, all the dogs are worn out, they're ready to take a nap, so they become more adoptable when the people are coming in to look at them. So it's a win-win for everybody.
Now, we have an in-house vet at the shelter, which we just adore, Dr. Birch, and she is phenomenal in the number and the variety of different surgical cases that she handles. Now, we know we have a public spay-neuter program, which you can call in and find out if you qualify for, and she does all those a few days a month, right?
Correct.
And then she spays and neuters all the animals in our care and does all their medical care. This year, she upped her game a little bit.
She did.
And had a lot more complex medical cases come in. What are some of the things other than just spay-neuters that Dr. Birch came across this year?
We kind of have an ongoing joke that every month is something different. So in December, we had tons of animals come to us with leg injuries. So we had a lot of leg amputations. The month before that, we had a lot of eye injuries. So she was doing entropion surgery. So we are very, very grateful to have Dr. Birch, who comes from an ER background. So she's used to having, versatile challenges. So in addition to about 2,200 surgeries last year, spaying and neutering, she did all of these extra surgeries that before we had her, we would pay another vet to do. So that was a lot of money. And now Dr. Birch is doing it in-house in addition to everything else she's doing. So it's just icing on the cake that we're allowed to do it in-house, send the animal out to foster, and it's better for the animal and it's better for our shelter.
And we had 4 or 5 amputation cases.
We did.
It's the best thing for the dog, obviously, when the leg is unusable. But the dogs, especially the front leg, they don't really seem to miss it
No.
We've had them running around a day or two after surgery on 3 legs.
There was one that woke up the next day and it was faster on 3 legs than it was on 4 legs. And it was smiley and happy. You know, I think they understand that that leg was a hindrance and that they're thankful that somebody helped them along the way. So just getting paid in those kisses is worth everything.
So losing a leg doesn't slow the dog down any, and it may slow the adoption process by a few days, but those animals still go into our adoption area, and we have wonderful local families that see right past what we might consider a hindrance, losing a leg, and they see the wonderful dog that's underneath that has no idea it's any different than anybody else.
Yes.
So we have some lucky local families that have some of our special case dogs now, don't we?
We had one family recently that adopted a 3-legged dog maybe 2 or 3 years ago and came in specifically for another 3-legged dog. So they have 2 dogs that between them they only have 6 legs.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Our community always responds to those cases. We had a lot of special cases this year, and one of those was Cody.
Yes.
Can you tell a little bit about Cody?
Yes. Cody came in as an abuse case. He was completely underweight, about 30 pounds underweight. We ended up going to court with his owners, and we ended up winning, so we got custody of him. But in addition to his health issues, you know, he was underweight, malnourished, his skin was horrible, he had allergies. He also had behavior issues because he lived his life on a chain, never socialized, never around humans. So once we got him healthy, we sent him to Nashville Canine, who offers this amazing training, boarding and training for our harder to place dogs for a month. And Cody was the first graduate, and within a week of graduating, he was adopted, which is amazing.
Nashville Canine, that's a great relationship you developed in this past year, and I think we've used them a couple of more times since Cody's case.
We have.
They have the ability to train the dog, and they have a facility and a course, and they go very intense.
They do.
It's 24/7, and behavior modification is through the reward system, kind of. They take the dog through the paces at the facility, then they take it out in the community, and then they introduce it to other dogs. And they're way above and beyond what we're capable of at the shelter. And that's a wonderful relationship. We so treasure the fact that Nashville Canine is out there. Now, do we have to have volunteers pay for that service, or?
It's absolutely free.
Wow.
They come and pick up the dog. They take video of it in the kennel.
Right.
And they also train the shelter staff so that once the animal's trained, we know how to have the handling back at the shelter.
Right,
we
how
don't
to maintain what they learned.
Correct.
Right.
And then they also offer free training for the adopter. So not only does the
Okay.
adopter get a very well-trained animal that does
Okay.
agility, that knows how to stay, sit. I mean, they're better trained than my own personal pets.
Aren't there like 9 basic commands, and they know how to?
And they know all of them.
Yeah.
And they get trained up to 6 times a day, and it's fun for them. We went out there and saw it firsthand, and it's not super structured and rigid. It's fun for them. It's a goal. It's getting that energy out. So that training is also offered to the person that adopts the dog, so that training can continue in the home.
So there really is not. There really are not very many dogs that are unadoptable. They just need to learn other behaviors.
Yeah.
Because the way they've been raised, they were not properly trained.
Right, and it's not their fault. They didn't raise themselves, so
So they can change.
Yeah,
Just like
and
you can change your own habits, the dog can change its habits.
right. And it's finding what works for them. Not every dog is trained the same, but Nashville Canine works hard at learning what works for that dog, and they're just phenomenal. That group they're worth their weight in gold because they train staff, they train adopters, and they take our harder to place dogs that would have been put down years ago.
Yeah. Another case that we had unfortunately, we do come across some cases of abuse, and those we highlight those because they're success stories in the end. Was a dog with an embedded collar, Louie,
Yes.
and how he got a second chance.
He did, yeah. We got a call from the public that there was a dog running loose, and he was aggressive, and he was injured. So an officer responded, saw that this dog was bleeding from his neck, but he wasn't aggressive. He was just scared, and so she loaded him up, saw that he had an embedded collar, which most likely what happened was somebody tethered him out as a puppy or as a younger dog and didn't change the size of the collar. So as the dog grew, the collar
Grew into
the skin.
Had nowhere else to go.
Correct. So we took him to Blue Pearl because after hours, you know, our vet staff's only there 8 to 5. So after hours, we took the dog to Blue Pearl. We got the collar out of the neck, which was sensitive because there's a lot of vital veins and arteries in that area. And then we sent him to foster, cleaned up the wound, and he got adopted so quickly because that story is so heartwarming and because his personality, he's so resilient. He had every reason to not trust people, to be aggressive, and he wasn't. He just wanted to be loved. And so that something that started out as a negative turned into a positive.
And I think Blue Pearl got him stabilized that night, and then Dr. Birch did the final surgery
She did.
at the shelter. So another way that she's helped us this year above and beyond is fixing up Louie's neck. And you can't even see it now. But just imagine a chain growing into your skin is amazingly
Slow, painful
horrible
process.
Yeah, and we're awfully glad he came into our care.
Yes.
Because he ultimately would have gotten an infection if nobody had picked him up.
Correct.
Probably a fatal infection. We also have had great participation in the shelter's Kroger Cares program over the past year. More people have joined, but we still need more.
We do.
Now, all you need to do is go to Kroger, get a Kroger Cares card, and use it every time you shop. It doesn't cost the customer anything, and we benefit by Kroger giving us a donation.
Correct.
And how much have we received approximately over the past year for that?
Every quarter we get about $1,500, and that's just from people shopping. They don't have to donate any of their own money. It's a little keychain. You just swipe it before you start, checking out. And that $1,500 helps to pay for things like Louie that needs special surgeries or special treatments that we can't afford out of our budget. So it's amazing.
So stop by Kroger customer service counter if you haven't got a card already, and then go on their website and pick our shelter as your beneficiary. That's really all you need to do. We've also have some news that we'll have puppies in the annual Puppy Bowl at Animal Planet again this year.
Second year in a row, yes.
That will be on February 7th at 2 p.m. and it'll be repeated every 2 hours during the Super Bowl football game on the other network. So when you turn on Animal Planet, we got 3 puppies this year.
We have 3 puppies. We have 2 litter mates, which are Harper and Raphael. They're pit mixes. They were actually born at my house. Their mom came in very pregnant, and she gave birth to 10 puppies, and those were the 2 puppies that were chosen for the Puppy Bowl. And then we have the bulldog Otis, who he stole the show, and we knew that was going to happen. Everybody loves a big, smushy bulldog. So hopefully Team Rough wins this year. It was quite the experience. The puppies thoroughly enjoyed it. We got a lot of good pictures of them with New York City cops because it's filmed in New York. So it was a great opportunity for our shelter, and we are so thankful for Animal Planet and for everybody that's involved with the Puppy Bowl, because they could choose any animal from rescues, from puppy breeders, but they choose to get them from shelters.
We have a connection with Pedigree through that.
We do.
Pedigree actually went with you to the taping.
They did. Mars sponsored the trip, which was great, again, because we didn't have to pay for it out of the budget, and it's a great platform for us to promote shelter animals. So,
and the Mars Pedigree is located right here in Williamson
in our own
County.
backyard.
Yeah, in our backyard. We've provided dogs to them for their in-house kennel. They live the good life down there, eating all the fabulous dog food, and our shelter benefits by getting dog food from Pedigree. So we're glad to maintain that relationship as well. And we also instituted a group play program.
We did.
In addition to our volunteers walking dogs individually, tell us about how group play started.
Group play is an enrichment program that is vital. When dogs come in, some of them like to live in a pack environment, but each dog is kenneled separately. So our volunteers will choose dogs and take them in the play yard to have group play, to get that energy out, to play ball, to wrestle. One of the volunteers sent me a video last night of 5 dogs playing and wrestling, and it's like children. They can't always be by themselves. I understand that sometimes they need to be separated, but sometimes they like to be in a pack and socialize. So our volunteers initiate that group play. They were trained by Charlotte with Project Reward. So she trained them on how to make sure it's safe for everybody involved. And it's been really successful because it also helps our animals get adopted. It shows that these dogs get along with other dogs, or they're resilient. So it's been a really good program that we started.
And they have play group in our play yard, shelter play yard. We don't use the public dog park.
Correct.
So the shelter play yard needs to be expanded. So I know that's one of your goals for 2016.
It is. It's wonderful, but right now we can only do 1 play group at a time because it's so small. So our goal is to double and that way we can do 2 play groups at a time. That way we really want to get all the dogs out at once, get them worn out, get them socialized before we open up for adoption. So hopefully that goal can come to fruition this year.
Good. And if anybody wants to make a contribution to that, we have the Friends of
Yes, ma'am.
Williamson County Animal Center, and they have their own website now, and you can
They
make a
do.
contribution there. They're leading the way for expanding the play yard.
They are. I think it was quoted at around $6,000 and we're up to $1,000. So we need about $5,000 more.
Okay. And that, I think it's going to double in size, is it not?
It will double in size. It will have its own entrance so that we can do 2 play groups at a time. And then we're also going to be doing a sliding gate. So if we want to open it up to make it one big play yard, we can. So just to have that versatility.
Another thing that we've developed in this past year was a greater relationship with lots of pet photographers. We
Yes.
have some that spend so much time taking pictures of our animals that make them more adoptable. They give us things to put on the internet, to put on Pet Finder. Now, we work with Boudoir Kitty.
Yes, Angela with Boudoir Kitty Cat Photography. She's amazing. She donates at least 1 day a week, and that's just photographing cats.
Right.
But then there's the editing portion. That takes a large amount of time. So she comes in, spends times with the cats, and gets good photos that shows their personality. Nowadays, people are so social media friendly and savvy
Right.
that they want to see a picture, they want to fall in love online, and that draws them into coming into the shelter. So Angela does a lot of our cat photos.
And I tried to take a picture of a cat before, and you know how it came out, Laura. Don't tell anybody.
Yeah, it's a wonderful picture.
But I only tried once.
Yes, thank God we have Angela.
But you know, these photographers are gifted.
They really are.
She
If
can
you-
make a cat sit still, look up, look at the camera, and I can't even get it to stay
If
still
you
for a
think
second.
Kids are hard to photograph. Try to photograph animals. So we have Angela with Boudoir. We have Pamela Parton, who is also a professional photographer. She does a lot of our outside dog photos. She's amazing. She comes 1 day a week as well. And then we have Penny Adams with Penny Adams Photography that does both dogs and cats. So we have 3 professional photographers that are donating their time in taking photos of our animals. That makes all the difference in the world.
It does. And then they do special things for us, like theme months. We tend to dress up our animals to emphasize our theme. And they've done our Santa photos with Santa every year, and funny hats, and gone
Harry
to remote
Potter.
locations, gone to
The firehouse in Fairview.
right. You
Yes.
name it, they'll do it. They're
Yep.
so dedicated.
They're okay with crawling around on the ground and getting dirty.
No problem.
Yeah.
And they know how to herd cats.
They
and
do.
That's not something I can do. But we thank them a lot. And last year we also received a surgical device called a non-invasive blood pressure machine from
Yes.
the Beasley Family Foundation. I wanted to thank them on our show today. It's helped Doc with her surgeries immensely. We had 45 outside events outside the building last year. These have gone from just Saturdays to lots of weekdays too. We go to schools, nursing homes, pet expos, libraries, dog food store openings.
You name it, we'll
You
go
name
there.
it, we go there. Now, one of the things I don't want to miss is the fact that we have a brand new free roaming cat area at the shelter called Meow Manor.
We do.
Now, tell us how that started and how Meow Manor came to be.
Best practices explain that some cats like to live in a colony. So in the shelter environment, if they're kenneled, they tend to get stressed out, which causes them to get sick. So we felt like it was important to try out a free roaming cat room. It has health benefits, and then people like to see cats running loose. They're quicker to get adopted because people have that connection. Oh my gosh, that cat's jumping, he's playing, rather than seeing it in a kennel. So we were working on getting that done, and I had an opportunity that kind of fell in my lap that a TV show was interested in helping us build it. And so not only did PetSmart Charities fund this huge project for Meow Manor, we also got it filmed for a TV series. So
we had our eye on an area in the lobby, a sort of a dead corner when you came in our front door. And if you come there now, you'll see a new wall. It's a plexiglass wall. And you'll see climbing, what do you call
climbing
it?
perches.
Climbing perches.
They have their own
for
catio.
the cats. They have their own little catio to go outside in good weather. And you can put 4 or 5 in there at a time. They love it. We love it. And Save Our Shelter is a program that is part of Saturday morning entertainment on the local CW network, which is WNAB. So I encourage everybody to look that up on their cable guide, or go to saveourshelter.com and watch the episode. It will air 3 times this year. The next time it will air is March 26th on a Saturday morning at 10:30. It's in a block with Cesar Millan's, one of Cesar Millan's show, and Incredible Dr. Pole. There are 5 sort of animal-related entertainment shows there on the CW network on Saturday. And again, our episode will air March 26th. And if you can come over, local people can just come over and see it for real.
Yes.
It is beautiful. It is such a departure from the bay of kennels that we used to have in the lobby for cats. They love it in there. We haven't had any conflicts that I know of in there.
They're getting adopted quicker.
Right.
When staff's stressed out, they go in there, and just being around the cats, they all climb up in your lap. It's just, it's
Yeah, I saw a volunteer
wonderful.
sitting in the Meow Manor the other day with all the cats. One of the things we're looking forward to this year is actually another free roaming cat room may be built at the shelter. That's an idea that we're working on. You said it was going to be called Purr Palace.
Yes, we like alliteration at the shelter. So, and we like to name the rooms, that way we know where all the animals are. So we're working on Purr Palace. It's literally just in the brainstorming phases, but we're hoping to have it done by April or May. It'll be another free roaming cat room. It'll actually be bigger than Meow Manor.
Will people be able to go in it, or is it just display?
It's display, but they will
Interact in some way?
Yes.
Okay. We're also doing more community outreach and education, and if your company or your store, your place of business, your office would like us to come out and do an event, or have some event you'd like to coordinate because you love animals, we'd love to do it. Even if it's just a towel drive or a plastic bag drive, we'd love to participate. Just call us at the shelter. On February 11th, on a Thursday, we'll be downtown Franklin at the Convention and Visitors Bureau office for a Puppy Love Day. They're having a Valentine's Week celebration downtown. We'll be there with adoptions from 1 to 4, and then we'll go around to the Franklin Theater, where the Olate dogs, who won one of the talent shows on network TV, will be performing at the Franklin Theater for a great show. If you like dogs, they're all rescues that have been trained, and they're living the good life traveling with the Olate dogs show. It's not really. Is it it's a stage show?
It's a stage show.
Yeah.
It's like a talent show for dogs.
Talent show for dogs. And it's amazing to think a shelter dog could go from being alone and abandoned in a shelter
Traveling the world.
to traveling the world and doing a lot of cute tricks and raising awareness for that. So if you want to go downtown and see a great show and come see us for adoptions, that'll be February 11th. We'll be down there from about 1 to 7:30 at night around downtown. So look for us walking dogs up and down the street. Our shelter's located right next to Franklin High School at 106 Claude Yates Drive, and we'd love to see you there. Laura, I want to thank you for being with us today.
Thank you for
From
inviting
10
me.
years ago, we had a save rate of 60%, and now we have 95.1.
And it's because of the community, the commission, the mayors, the staff, the volunteers. It's a community effort, and I'm proud to work where I work.
Well, great. We're so lucky to have you as the director, and we look forward to a number of other good things coming up. If you want to call the shelter, call 790-5590. If you want to look at available animals, go to our new website, which we also implemented last year. I forgot to mention that. It's called adoptwcac.org, and on there you can see the Adoptable Pets Connection, and some of our photographers' wonderful pictures of pets will be on there.
Yes.
Right. And you can always call. And remember, if you find a dog or lose a dog, the first place to go is the shelter. So don't forget that, and we hope to see you next time on Pet Watch.
If I conferred with our furry friends, man to animal, think of the amazing repartee. If I could walk with the animals, talk with the animals, grunt and squeak and squawk with the animals, and they could talk to me. If I consulted with quadrupeds, think what fun we'd have asking over crocodiles for tea.